One thing I love about this bus is just how quiet it is.
The electric vehicle revolution is making its way to a new segment, school buses.
The kids love it because it's something new. It's something kind of almost space age to them.
The drivers really like the electric bus, the features. The students as well. One of our staff members equated it to the Cadillac of all buses.
A number of companies are involved, from traditional school bus manufacturers Bluebird and Thomas Built to electric vehicle manufacturers Lion Electric and GreenPower Motor Company.
For parents, they know that this is a better ride for their kids. We know that diesel is a known carcinogen. It brings along a whole host of respiratory issues.
They not only smell like really bad, but they're also extremely noisy.
Prime example of that, the noise of a diesel bus starting. Whereas for these buses, you don't get that noise anymore.
And then you get the puff of exhaust, and if there's people around it, they tend to get upset. But these don't do any smoke at all.
In the US, 26 million children take 480,000 buses to get to and from school every day. Converting that fleet to electric could have a big impact.
It's the largest public fleet in the country. Electric school buses, on average, have half the greenhouse gas emissions of any other source.
The industry is poised to take off. The global electric school bus market is estimated to reach $40 billion by the end of 2030.
There's at least one electric school bus committed in 38 states and 2 tribal nations.
I definitely feel like it's a very cool way to not only help the environment, but also just a fun way to travel.
This is where the entire world is going, towards a cleaner transportation sector.
Transit bus was the first segment to move towards battery electric technology, but school bus is fast following. It's a great application.
They're running fixed routes and then coming in during the day before going out and running additional routes in a typical use pattern.
The first electric school buses were deployed in 2014 in California with the Kings Canyon and Escondido school districts.
Since that time, we've seen some steady growth. We're still at about 3% of the fleet.
The buses are expensive, about 3 times more than their diesel counterparts. But adoption has been gaining momentum as schools replace their aging diesel fleets.
There's about 12,700 school buses in what we call a commitment stage. So that's either ordered or delivered. And just in the past 6 months, we've seen about 500 new electric school bus commitments.
Just like electric cars, the buses benefit from reduced costs of fuel and maintenance.
You're buying electricity, and for most people in most places, that works out a lot cheaper than buying diesel or gasoline.
And the maintenance demands are lower, so less downtime for the vehicle, because you simply don't need to take it out of commission as often as you need to for a diesel product.
They also come with the added utility of providing energy storage resources when not in use.
In case of an emergency, we can take one of these buses over to, say, a school, a hospital, any place that needs power, and then they could actually use power from our batteries.
In places like California, where the power grid does come under significant stress, particularly at times of year where maybe school isn't in session and all these buses are sitting in a barn somewhere, it's just another battery that can help level load the power system.
Some states have already begun outlining policies to drive adoption, with some setting ambitious goals.
New York was the first state to pass a piece of legislation to electrify their entire fleet. They have a goal of all new sales being electric by 2027 and then moving to electrify the entire fleet by 2035.
There are some states that are trying to nudge school districts towards electric school buses. Massachusetts is one, California is obviously one, Colorado is doing stuff.
2023 is expected to be a big year for deployments, largely due to federal funding.
President Biden saying that he would like to see at least 20% of the 500,000 school buses go electric within the next 5 years.
Since the infrastructure bill passed, there has been a process of school districts applying for it, and then they can do that again next year, and this can go quite a bit of distance towards cutting that cost differential.
The Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, what that did was create a new $5 billion clean school bus program. One half of that funding, $2.5 billion, is dedicated solely to funding electric school buses infrastructure, and the other $2.5 billion is for electric as well as other alternative fuels.
In Virginia, the Fairfax County Public School District has been an early adopter of electric buses. It got started through a state pilot program in partnership with Dominion Energy.
Fairfax County Public Schools was awarded 8 electric school buses. We paid the price of a diesel bus, and Dominion Energy, through their program, paid the difference.
The county began the process in 2019 and hopes to convert its fleet of 1,625 diesel buses to electric by 2035.
We have purchased 20 additional buses through grant opportunities, and we expect to receive the first 10 of those before the end of the school year, and then the next in the spring of 2023.
The buses are built by Thomas Built, a school bus manufacturer that has partnered with Proterra for battery and electric drive components.
Even in the year-and-a-half time frame that we've had them, there are already updates to the technology.
And the charging infrastructure was installed by Dominion Energy.
They installed the vehicle-to-grid charging infrastructure, which allows Dominion Energy to utilize the energy from the bus batteries when our buses are not in use.
My bus can come to a complete stop without me having to touch the brake. There's so many safety and securities built into it that it makes it a whole lot safer for our kids now than those old diesel buses. Right here is our battery gauge, and then just below it, it tells me like my coolant temperature, my battery temperature, and my battery percentage.
The buses have a range of around 135 miles and take about an hour or two to charge. For most school routes, this is sufficient, but it can be inconvenient.
The only thing I don't like about it is the battery range. We're having to charge our batteries twice a day. They do make batteries for longer range, but we in Fairfax County, we don't have those yet. The buses that are coming to us by next spring will be a version 2 bus. And they've learned from everything that we've had happen to our buses, and they've upgraded it into the next bus.
Both legacy school bus manufacturers and new startups are building electric, with several erecting new plants to meet demand.
We looked at one study that looked at the incentives that are coming under the Clean School Bus program, predicted that 46,000 job years were going to be added because of the investments in the electric and the clean school bus industry.
One legacy company, Thomas Built, owned by Daimler Truck, has partnered with Proterra to bring its electric offering to market.
They have about 40% of the U.S. school bus market. They're working with Proterra, the battery company, to assemble fast-charging electric school buses.
Thomas Built's a company that's existed for over 100 years. We are a leading school bus manufacturer in the U.S. and Canada.
Together with them, so far we've got 175 school buses on the roads. That spans from Alaska to the coast of Virginia and Massachusetts.
The companies brought their first electric school bus, the Julie, to market in 2019. Since then, they've seen demand rise considerably.
What we're seeing is a steady build-out, right? We announced a couple of weeks back that we had delivered our 200th Julie. It won't take long until we deliver the next 100, right? Because the scaling impact is real.
Bluebird is another legacy school bus manufacturer that's gone all in on electric.
We've been around for 95 years making school buses, and Bluebird is no stranger to electrification. Our first endeavors in electrification on school buses started in the mid-90s. And with our latest generation system that we've been working on with Cummins since 2018, we have over 700 electric school buses on the road today.
The company produces 4 electric school buses per day at its factory in Fort Valley, Georgia, with plans to scale that up to 20 per day by the end of next year.
We do the school buses from the frame rails up, and on the electric side, we've partnered with Cummins to provide a full drivetrain system.
Canada-based Lion Electric is a new entrant into the market that develops electric trucks and school buses.
We started the business in 2008. We started working on electric school buses in 2010. It took us about 6 years to launch the first all-electric school bus that we started selling in 2016.
The company manufactures in Canada and plans to open a new 900,000 square foot facility outside Chicago in 2023.
We have a manufacturing capacity of 2,500 units in Canada and 20,000 units in Illinois, and this will be the largest EV factory for medium and heavy duty in the United States and in Canada.
So far, Lion Electric has delivered around 700 school buses. GreenPower Motor Company, also based in Canada, is focusing on developing electric trucks and school buses.
We have one of the broadest range of purpose-built all-electric vehicles in the medium and heavy-duty space in North America.
They just opened or are in the process of opening a factory in West Virginia specifically to assemble electric school buses for the U.S. market.
The company currently makes 2 buses, a 40-foot option and a shorter version.
We already had our 40-foot Type D school bus. We ultimately wanted a Type A school bus, which is a smaller one, and that was a product that we just brought to market this year. In California, we have deployments with up to 6 vehicles.
Cost is the biggest obstacle. Electric school buses are currently around 2 to 3 times more expensive than their diesel counterparts.
We pay about $122,000 for a large diesel bus. And with our electric bus, with all the Fairfax specifications, we're looking now at about $419,000 a bus.
The high price means most school districts will have to adopt these slowly. For Fairfax County Public Schools, its annual upgrade costs will go up considerably.
We have a 15-year replacement cycle for our buses, and we have a budget of about $10 million to replace buses, and we usually replace at about 120 to 130 buses a year. With our JET initiative to convert the fleet fully by 2035 means that our budget needs to be increased substantially over the next 15 years to meet that goal.
Buses do well in terms of cost of ownership from there, but that's a big nut to digest. And so the funding programs that are available are absolutely essential to kind of get the momentum going.
But it's predicted that over time, costs will come down.
This is one of those things where once the scale starts to go up, the costs will hopefully come down, and then everybody can have one in a few years.
By the end of this decade, we're anticipating that we get to total cost of ownership parity.
On top of the cost of the bus itself, the schools also need significant infrastructure upgrades.
You're going to have to install chargers, you're going to have to get a mechanic who understands how to maintain these things and keep them on the road. And so there's some sunk cost up front.
We only have enough chargers for our buses right now. We don't have any extra ones. When a charger fails, we can't charge the bus. So then we have to hop into a diesel bus to continue our runs.
We're seeing this with electric vehicles overall. We do need to make investments on our grid, especially if you're thinking about developing, an entire fleet of electric school buses.
Despite these hurdles, many in the industry predict it won't be long before we reach an emissions-free future for school buses.
The nonprofits that I've talked to that are trying to move this along say, we want every bus by 2030, by 2030, by 2030. It's plausible that most U.S. school buses, most of those 480,000 school buses, could be electric. If not by 2030, then by 2035.
Even in Canada, in the province of Quebec, every school bus purchased going forward has to be electric. As more and more states jump on these mandates to go electric, we'll see this continued adoption and this $5 billion in federal funding over the next 5 years. It's just been a great tailwind to increasing this adoption.
It's really an exciting time, right, to be in the school bus business. It's transformational, and it's an industry that typically is not going to be leading transformational changes.
We're going to see a lot of momentum over the next 5 years as we see investments, as we see buses taking off. We've seen now over 22 different models of electric school buses.
All school districts will adopt the electric school bus technology into their fleet. We're at the very start of it, and at this point, I don't think there'll be any turning back.